Disrespect never announces itself in full color. It arrives in a whisper, a half smile, a clipped tone, a shove of attention away from you. You feel it as a small sting behind the ribs, and then you forgive it because forgiveness is easier than confrontation. Today, you will learn 5 dark Machiavellian rules that turn those small stings into predictable cost and return respect on your terms. I have spent years mapping social patterns in boardrooms and living rooms, observing how a single small permission becomes a door left open to predators. Machiavelli taught that respect is not asked for, it is arranged and enforced. Keep that in mind as we move. If you want to test this right now, leave this affirmation in the comments, "My silence speaks volumes." Picture the last time you rehearsed a reply you never delivered. That rehearsal ends today because we will replace it with rules that create consequence, not drama. First, let me show you how disrespect actually hides itself in everyday life with concrete scenes you know well. Walk into a meeting and you hear a chair scrape a few seats away from you. The plastic of the coffee cup clicks under a nail. The fluorescent lights buzz above, and a joke lands at your expense. Marcus laughs loudest. Elena shifts her phone across the table as if it matters. Priya glances at her watch like time is owed elsewhere. That is the pattern. In a family dinner, the table linen smells faintly of lemon and old oil, and someone says you are being oversensitive, and the knife against your plate ticks like measurement. At a party, David interrupts 3 times, lowers his voice into a smirk, and you feel your words evaporate into the room that smells of perfume and sweat. These sensory cues matter because predators test temperature before they touch. They listen to the room and to your silence. Most people mistake keeping calm for strength. They think silence equals dignity. It does not. Without rules, silence becomes consent. The consequence is slow and corrosive. Careers reassign, friendships contract, invitations stop arriving. Reputations erode not from explicit humiliation, but from a pattern of small denials. If you accept the small, you normalize the small, and the small becomes the default. To break that, you need structure. Now, a brief theoretical frame. Machiavelli teaches that a leader must use both fear and favor carefully. Modern social dynamics do not ask for cruelty. They require calculated cost. When you fail to introduce cost, you leave the social ledger open. Silence without plan tells others ledger is blank. In practice, that means when someone interrupts you once and you do nothing, they measure the cost as 0 and increase the bid. When you respond with consistent cost, they update their model and hesitate next time. That is the logic we will weaponize ethically. Here is the method in one line. We will use silence as a signal, consistency as a system,
memorable consequences as deterrent, a cultivated dark presence as reputation, and analytic cataloging as data. Those are the 5 rules, and we will unpack them with scripts, sensory cues, and role plays you can use immediately. Tactic 1. Silence as control. Silence can be a coffin or a throne, depending on how you hold it. Weak silence is avoidance. Strategic silence is a calibrated pause that reassigns attention. Imagine a meeting where the room is warm with coffee steam and the projector hums. Someone interrupts, and the sound of the interruption is sharp, like a dropped glass. You hold your look. You feel the fabric of your sleeve under your fingertips, the slight grit of a paper cup, the sour bite of a lemon candy you are chewing slowly. Your first line is not a retort. Your first line is absence. Wait. Let the awkwardness thicken. Then you speak, not to attack, but to reclaim the floor with a simple, clear sentence that shifts the agenda. Role play. Marcus says, "You were saying about the budget." You respond in turn with deliberate pace and minimal words. "I was finishing my point." When you pause, the room hears wait. Marcus, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were done." Elena, "That timing felt heavy." Priya, "I did not notice you stopped." The exchange needs to be long enough to teach the rule, so in this scene, hold at least 9 micro-exchanges across voices to install precedent. The senses here are crucial: the soft slump of a chair, the rustle of a sleeve, the distant phone vibration. Practice this in low-risk settings first. Tactic 2. Consistency without mercy. Rules without enforcement are empty. Decide the rule and apply it predictably. Field examples are latecomers to meetings, habitual interruptions, or unpaid favors. At the office, Javier repeatedly shows up late. The fluorescent lights buzz, the carpet is cool underfoot, your watch ticks, and people joke that Javier is quirky. You stop laughing. You implement a simple, consistent consequence. You begin the meeting on time without waiting for Javier. You document his lateness in a brief email copied to HR and the project list. He is confronted in neutral tone and given a clear repeated metric. Dialogue example for training. Javier, "I started at 9. We start at 9 from now on." Javier, "But traffic is bad." You, "Your delay costs the team. We will proceed without you if you are late." Javier, "That is harsh." You, "It is predictable and fair." Practice the lines until your voice is calm and factual. Sensory cues to anchor this are the scuff of shoes, the click of a keyboard, the metallic taste in your mouth when you speak up. Consistency converts frustration into expectations. Tactic 3. The memorable, disproportionate response. Not violent, not explosive. A response that is disproportionate in memory, not in harm. It must be surgical and designed to create a cost in how they think about you. Imagine Nora, who undermines you in meetings.
Front of clients by making small, sarcastic comments. The room smells of cold coffee and lemon sanitizer, and the client clutching a pen taps it as if marking time. Your move is simple and public. You remove your support in a precise way. You stop assigning her deliverables that involve clients. You reroute communications so she cannot present without approval. Then, in a calm, private conversation, you say, "This pattern will not continue. If it does, I will change who works on those accounts." The dialogue is rehearsed and unemotional. Nora, "You are being punitive." You, "I am being responsible for outcomes." Nora, "People will talk." You, "Let them talk and let us keep results in view." That exchange must be practiced with a minimum of 8 to 10 microturns so it lands. The sensory detail here is the subtle creak of a chair as power shifts, the dry paper smell of agendas, and the slight chill when someone notices they no longer control a channel. Tactic 4. Cultivate a dark reputation. Reputation precedes you. If people believe you are not to be tested, they do not test you. This is not being cruel. It is being predictable and a little unreadable. Your signals should be consistent, selective, and low volume. Wear a quiet look in rooms. Keep a few stories private. Decline invitations without over-explaining, and let your presence be sparse but anchored. Olivia, Sam, and David will notice. Olivia will hesitate mid-sentence. Sam will lower his volume when he addresses you. David will think twice before the smirk. Sensory cues to craft this include a slow, measured exhale before you answer, the smell of your coat after rain, the faint sound of a watch under your cuff. The effect is cumulative. Tactic 5. Catalog and convert disrespect into data. Keep a private ledger, not vindictive, analytical. Note names, dates, actions, and context. What was said? Who laughed? Who did nothing? What was the cost? After a month, patterns crystallize, and you can make strategic choices about trust and investment. An example log entry looks like this. Nora, September 12, client meeting.
undermined presentation tone, sarcastic response from client, cooled by 20%, consequence, reassigned deliverable. That habit of cataloging trains your eye to see intent rather than just sting. Backstory, instant that explains why I teach this. I grew up in a house where small slights stacked like plates. My father spoke softly, but his silence folded around vetoes. As a child, I learned that a missing invitation was not random, and that the small stone of a remark could sink you socially. Later in college, I studied social behavior, and then spent a decade advising teams where promotions evaporated because people let patterns repeat. That personal history taught me to value rules over rhetoric, and to measure behavior as currency. The result is a practice I refined in corporate halls and in friendships where reputation mattered more than charm. Because of that, I know how
grief over small humiliations turns into lost chances and how a few disciplined moves can redirect a life. Now, 3 tension points where the rules are tested and where you must not retreat. Moment 1, the promotion meeting where someone interrupts you mid-report and the room smells of stale coffee and authority. You hold silence, let the interruption hang, and then reclaim the floor in 1 sentence. The room panics internally, and your calm becomes the axis. This moment is about creating cognitive friction so others recalculate cost. It will feel uncomfortable, but the discomfort is the mechanism of change. Moment 2, the family dinner where an uncle repeatedly makes a cutting joke and the cutlery clinks like reasons falling apart. You do not explode. You stand and leave the table for a measured minute, then re-enter and say, "This stops now." The simple act of leaving creates visible cost and resets normal behavior. The leave is sensory. The click of floorboards, the cold air on your face, the muffled conversation you can hear as you pause in the hallway. Moment 3, the friendship where a close ally takes credit for your work and the office air grows thick with recycled praise. You send a single email, copying relevant parties, clarifying contributions, and you stop offering help on that project. The tone is factual, no accusation, just record. The sting will be visible in their Slack messages, and you will have moved from grievance to governance. Each tension moment is at least 500 characters because they are practice sites, not anecdotes. Throughout the script, I have named Marcus, Elena, Priya, David, Nora, Javier, Olivia, Sam, and Javier again to show patterns across environments. Use these names as templates when you rehearse. Now, an applied sequence you can run in the next 30 days. Week 1. Practice silence in 3 low-stakes meetings. Note the response. Week 2. Implement 1 consistent consequence for a repeated minor offense. Document it in your ledger. Week 3. Apply a memorable, non-violent consequence for 1 significant transgression and watch behavior change. If you practice these rules for 1 month, you will notice that people hesitate more before crossing your boundary. At 3 months, your social map will look different, colleagues will have new expectations, and fewer people will test you. At 6 months, your reputation will have shifted, and opportunities you were previously overlooked for will either come back to you or you will be free to choose different paths. Epilogue, and the timeline of change and practice. In 1 month, you will feel lighter. The rehearsal of comebacks will diminish because you will already have an applied set of responses that anchor your presence. The quiet in your chest replaces the old hum of planning lines you never say. People will notice and some will push harder. That is expected. Your task is to maintain rule and ledger and allow a few tests to prove the system. You may lose some social capital as people adjust. That is the cost of clarity. At 3 months, patterns will either solidify or fracture. Colleagues who respected your boundaries will be easier to work with. Those who cannot will reveal themselves. At this point, you will have collected data enough to change assignments or to withdraw investment with minimal drama.
The sensory world around you will feel different. Meetings will feel cooler or more punctual. The coffee will be better. The small talk will be shorter. At 6 months, you will own a new reputation. Invitations will align with your standards, and you will no longer feel the habitual sting of being sidelined. You will be calmer because your system prevents erosion. Remember that none of these rules require cruelty, only consistency and an appetite for consequence. If you are still unsure, start with the ledger. Record one incident a day and the measure you applied. Watch the pattern of escalation and the pattern of retreat. That record is your proof and your guide. Now, one small task for you. Do not write an essay in the comments. Leave this affirmation: "My silence speaks volumes," and tell us which of the 5 rules you will try this week. Your example helps others see patterns, and I use these reports to select future videos and scripts. If this approach spoke to you and you want more precise scripts for emails and one-on-one conversations, subscribe to this channel. We post practical models every week, and you will get templates to use in meetings, family dinners, and social settings. Respect is not given by default. It is arranged by those who understand how social cost works and who apply it without drama. Control your silence, be consistent, impose memorable consequence, craft a presence that is quietly unreadable, and catalog disrespect into data. Do that, and the world will begin to afford you the respect you decided to keep. Remember, one sentence to leave with you: respect is not requested, it is constructed. Subscribe and return in a month to tell us what changed.